this video we want to talk about balustrade and handrails in inspection. I searched all the balustrade and handrails I inspected in the past few weeks, so that's pretty much I dug out. Why I want to talk about that topic? Because we had 7 inspectors been to my house for assessment purpose. Only 1 inspector picked up the balustrade issue for my own house. So that's the one, the white color one we are talking about. So apparently that one is lower than 1 meter, which is the minimum required height for a balustrade. And that particular deck is more than 1 meter from the ground. So a balustrade is required. One issue is that one is lower than 1 meter. Another issue is the spacing between the end of the balustrade and the weatherboard is much wider than 100 mm maximum required spacing. So is that a significant issue if you didn't pick it up during pre-purchase inspection? A couple of inspectors said, oh, that's a major issue, so you may get sued just because that if you missed out that deficiency. Other inspectors thought, that might be just minor concern, or if you didn't pick it up, that probably be alright, as at least that's not a major. It's a kind of an argument. You can think about that one might be a major from a certain point of view, maybe not. So let's have a look at other balustrade. So how about that one? Everybody can see that one is less than 1 meter height. Is that an issue? Maybe not, because that's likely to be a 1970s building. Back 40 years ago, a balustrade less than 1 meter height wouldn't be a trouble. Why that one is alright, the one in my section is not right? Simply because that one is newer. So my house is 6 years old. So as a pre-purchase inspector, do we need to know from which year or from which date, or according to which construction law or which standard or which building code less than 1 meter height will be an issue or will not be an issue? So how can we determine that? So as during pre-purchase stage, do we really need to find out when that balustrade built? Can we physically find it out? Where can we get the information? Do we need to search property file to find out when the balustrade is built during pre-purchase stage? Have a look at that one. So the balustrade, one thing is less than 1 meter height, another thing is the pattern of the balustrades. Probably not compliant. But when we say not compliant with what? With the building code? But during pre-purchase stage, we actually not inspecting the building for code compliant purpose. So how will we judge that? Is that not safe, or is that not compliant with what? So how can we do a proper wording during pre-purchase stage? What about that building? So there is no handrail for that main entrance steps. Do we need to raise that one as an issue? That's actually around about 6 years old, just similar to my house. Is that a concern if there is no handrail? Is the handrail a compulsory or a requirement? So why that building has got a CCC when there is no handrail for it? Do we raise that one up? Do we regard that as a major issue? That one looks like close to 1 meter height, but the spacing between balustrades definitely be more than 100 mm. But back 30 years ago, that might be alright. or complying with something, but maybe no longer complying with the current building code or building regulation, safety regulation, or something else. So, but at least we need to put it as a minor concern or something. So that's something to be paid attention. So that particular building is 5 years old. And we have access to that roof from a balcony. So is that compliant? Do we need a balustrade for it? So how about interior? Is that balustrade compliant? Or there's a kind of a combination of a balustrade and handrail. So apparently less than 1 meter height. Or is that need to be a meter height? So what's the date of that one? What's construction era for that? Is that more than 10 years old? Is it near new or brand new? How can we judge that? So let's talk about the retaining wall safety issue. So that particular retaining wall, it's got one little fencing here. Looks like that's creating a barrier between that section and that section. That means from that point there will be more than a meter height. So we need to create a barrier. So that's a safety compliant with the safety requirement. Let's have a look at that particular retaining wall. We don't really know the date. When the retaining wall is built. But apparently that part here definitely be more than 1 meter height. From here, that will be less than 1 meter height. There is no barrier to preventing people crossing from their low point to the high part. So is that an issue? Do we need to put that one as a concern during pre-purchase inspection stage? Here is another retaining wall, that's concrete retaining wall, and it's definitely be more than 1 meter high. It shouldn't be any trouble if there is no access to the part, but there is an access built, so few steps going up, and then you can step into that part. So is that a safety concern? We don't really know when that built. That could be 5 years old, could be 10, could be 20 years old. Is that compliant or compliant with what? Is that really a safety concern? Is that a minor concern or major concern? Do we need to raise that as an issue? Or if we simply ignore it, what will happen? Can we get sued simply for that? Here are many other types of balustrade. Looks like most not compliant, or at least not compliant with today's requirements. But having said that, I don't really know comply with what, or do we have to comply with current building code? Can we find out the building code clearly saying there has to be meter height, or can be less than meter height? Do we have to use only vertical balusters, or is that one an issue when we have a horizontal rails here? Even though the whole height will be more than 1 meter height, but we have a stepping rails, so potentially kids can stepping up using the rails. So is that a safety issue? That the spacing between balustrade will definitely be more than 100 mil. But that looks like 20 years old, maybe 25 years old. Is that really an issue? So if that's not an issue, but the new one will be issue, how? When is the boundary line? So how about if we just can't find out the age of the balusters? How can we judge that? The conclusion would be during pre-purchase stage, you do need to pick up balustrade and handrail issue. Like if you think it's not complying with current building codes or building regulation or safety requirement, whatever, you do need to mention in your report. You don't really have to go too far, like complying with what. You simply just need to mention that. Doesn't really matter if that's a major concern or minor concern. It's really case by case, depending on who actually judge it. But as long as you put it in your report, you will be fine.